Hi, my name's Leo and this boat is called Tally-Ho, and I'm on a mission to sail back from the place where we rebuilt the boat in the northwest corner of the USA all the way to the UK in time for a historic race that Tally-Ho won nearly 100 years ago. In the last couple of videos, the boat has been out of the water in a boatyard in Panama for some repairs and paint work. And in this video, I'm going to be cutting some holes in the hull, installing some transducers, but first off we're going to catch up with the painting team who have been working on the carved cove line.
Todo sellado como al vacío, casi fría pues, pero después eso. Ay, entonces Julio.
No, yo nunca le voy a esa vaina.
¿Sí?
Nunca.
This is a metallic gold paint on the cove line, but I asked the painters to undercoat with a yellow paint because the metallic paint doesn't always last that long, and when it starts to fade and wear off, if there's yellow underneath it, it's not so noticeable. Now it's time for me to start working on the transducers. A transducer is more or less a depth sounder. It sends a sonar ping down which reflects off the ocean floor and back up to it, and that tells you how deep the water is. It's very useful for navigation. The transducers that I'm working with in this video are actually triducers, which means they not only measure depth, but they also measure water temperature and speed that the water is moving past the transducer, both of which can also be useful for navigation. My primary and up until now only transducer had failed a few weeks before, so the first step was to remove it from the hull so I can replace it with a new one. So I'm having a bit of trouble getting this transducer out. I've got the nut off the inside, of course, but I've been hammering away on it and it hasn't been moving at all. It's bedded, I think, in 3M 4200, which isn't the strongest blue. It's supposed to be sort of temporary-ish, able to remove, but there's a lot of surface area in there because of the fairing blocks on the outside and the block on the inside as well. And I think it's just too much surface area. It feels really stuck. So I was planning to try and get the transducer out without removing the fairing block on the outside, but I think my next step is to go outside the boat and try and separate the fairing block from the hull so that the fairing block can come away with the transducer, and that means there's going to be less surface area of glue to break. Well, that didn't work. It's still not budging, but I've come to terms now with the fact that I'm not going to be able to reuse the same fairing block. I do have another fairing block that came with the replacement transducer. I was hoping to reuse the original one so I didn't have to reshape this one, but that's okay. It's not going to be that difficult. I can use the one as a template. So my next step is to just remove that fairing block by force, probably cut it in half, and then hopefully with the exposed bottom bronze part of the transducer, hopefully I can get enough torque on that to twist it and break the sealant that way. Now I'm really hoping that after all that work, which included quite a lot of cable routing, which I didn't actually show, I'm really hoping that that new transducer fixes the problem, because I'm not 100% sure it was the transducer itself which was broken. It's just my best guess, but it's very hard to test it properly, especially here where there aren't specialized tools for that sort of thing. So it could be something to do with the bottom discrimination box which the transducer goes through, or even something to do with the software, but all the testing I've done points to it hopefully being the transducer that's the problem. So I won't know until I put the boat back in the water and can then test it. Now at this stage though, presuming that new transducer actually does fix that problem and it works, we will have one working transducer. However, I want to install a second transducer for several reasons. The first one is that if one of them breaks again, I'd like to have a backup. But the other reason is that the transducer I've already got, the one which I've replaced like for like, is not on my NEMA 2000 network. NEMA 2000 is a sort of network protocol by which multiple instruments and devices on the boat can talk to each other in a kind of common language. Now this transducer doesn't talk to that network, it talks directly to the software on my PC, which is useful. It gives me a bit more functionality because it shows more detail, but it doesn't talk to the other displays, which means I don't have the depth shown in the cockpit on the little displays up there. So I want to install another transducer which is on the NEMA 2000 network. It'll give me redundancy, but it'll also show the depth in more places on the NEMA network. So to do that, I'm going to put it on the other side of the boat in more or less the same position, and I've already figured out where it's going to go and marked it. So the first stage is to drill a hole in the boat. So now that I've got a nice hole cut in one of the planks, it's time to shape the fairing block. And much like I shaped the fairing block on the starboard side transducer, which I already replaced, that one I used a power plane to shave it down just because I didn't have access to any better power tools at the time. But this one on the port side, I want to use the top half of it for the backing block on the inside. So I need to cut it cleanly and correctly so I can use both halves. So it seems like there's not a bandsaw in this boatyard that is decent enough really to make this cut confidently. There's one tiny one, but I think it won't cut straight through this depth of plastic. So I'm going to try and do it by hand, and as you can see, I've just hot glued some thin cardboard onto two sides of this piece, three sides actually, with some guidelines on it, because this is a compound bevel. It's two angles. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can just cut this with a saw. The reason I'm trying to do this so carefully is that I want to use both parts of this once it's cut. I want to use one on the outside and one on the inside to save me having to make a new wooden block on the inside, and that should work if I can get the cut close enough, but there's not much room for error because with the angle of the hull I'm really using every sort of part of this. There's not really any to spare. If I get the cut wrong, I can't really plane it down to shape it anymore.
I'm going up top?
No, you'll be down here.
Okay, yeah, I might get some gloves.
I've got some gloves here.
Used it before?
I've not actually used this exact product. It's actually just quite the hole's a little bit.
Quick sip of beer, mate. I think I cracked it
Oh,
for you too. I think I cracked it too prematurely.
Thanks,
for you.
man. Ah, cheers.
Cheers.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Just a little bit.
So, yeah. Oh, and flats as well.
Oh yeah.
Fuck, that's on the. Wait, stop. Is that? It's not on the piss, is it?
It is.
It is.
Meant to
Okay.
be, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's aiming for a frame in there.
Ah, okay. Good.
I'm just gonna leave that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah.
But so this is held in. This center part might still fall out.
Okay.
To be honest, it looks like the goop is actually holding it up. But
Yeah.
if you could just keep a finger on that side part just to make sure.
Yeah.
All right, it's coming home.
I can take my hand off it? Yep, cool.
So after cleaning up the sealant on the inside and the outside of the hull, the last stage of installing this transducer is to wire it up to the NEMA 2000 network. This just involves finding a route that is short enough for the cable to reach the NEMA 2000 backbone, which is in my case underneath the chart table. Now I'm really pleased that both transducers are in. I won't know for sure if they both work until the boat is back in the water. You can't test them outside the water without some specialist equipment, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that. Also keeping my fingers crossed that there aren't any leaks and that all my sealant work is going to do its job properly. But I'm really looking forward to going back in the water. Living on the hard in the boatyard is fine. It has some advantages even, but generally it's not as nice as being in the water. It's more hot, it's more dusty, you have to go up a ladder, you can't use your plumbing, there's more insects, and so on. So really looking forward to going back in the water, and that should be happening pretty soon. Just got to now paint the antifoul and a couple of other little jobs, and then once we're back in the water, we'll be planning our next trips, which will be very exciting. But for now, thanks a lot for watching, and a massive, massive thank you to everyone who has donated and otherwise supported this project. It does make a huge difference, especially at a time like this when we're having a yard period and we get a lot of costs at once. And it means I can maintain this boat, live on this boat, sail this boat, and make these videos. So I really, really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Cheers.